to.
Hello, my name is Senator Malcolm Smith, and welcome again to At the Round Table with Senator Malcolm Smith. We've got a tremendous show in store for you today. Each show we have, it just gets more exciting, and the guests become more prominent, and there's information that gets imparted to you that obviously you can use on your day-to-day activities for your family or for yourself. Well, today it's a little different because normally I welcome the guests to the show, but today it's a little reversal because I'm actually welcoming myself to the guest who I'm about to introduce. It's her actual home. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Keizs. Dr. Marcia Keizs, good to have you on the show.
And thank you for inviting me on your show here in my home at your college.
Well, it's probably the strangest relationship that I've had with any of my guests
but
here.
it's a good relationship. After all, your college predated me and you predated us, but now we've found a nice way to get together.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for being on the show, and let's get right into it because it's a short period of time. I'm sure a lot of people know you, but let's tell them a little about your background, where you come from. I mean, I know the background. I know the stellar background that you have, but some of the guests, some of the people that are out there watching may not know.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I came to this particular job coming off a stint as Vice President for Academic Affairs at Bronx Community College. And I've spent all of my career, my professional career, really in CUNY, starting first at Queensborough Community College as an English teacher. I was an English professor before I moved into administration. And I served at about 4 different institutions within CUNY. That's right, you do. But I'm not going to put any red inks on it. All right. So I served in about 4 or 5 institutions in the administrative area. And then I also served a very brief stint in the central office. So I know a little bit about the central office also in the role of Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs. But a career in education has always been my goal. I really started out in Jamaica, not Jamaica, Queens, but Jamaica, the island.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm from Kingston, Jamaica.
Is that
to
right?
Jamaica, Queens. How's that?
My father was raised in Mandeville.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And so I always knew I wanted to be an English teacher. That was my goal. I had some very good role models. And so I left Jamaica to go to school in Canada, University of Manitoba, you know, the whole Commonwealth thing. And then eventually I came here to New York in the late 60s, early 70s. My mother was here and my sister was here. They predated me here in New York, and essentially I decided to settle here, much to the chagrin of my father, who was in Jamaica, because he expected me to return to Jamaica to make my contribution.
Right.
And I always said to him, well, you know, I can make a contribution, I believe, here in New York. And so I stayed in New York, and this is where I've made my home since that time.
Okay. Well, you have come to York College. I won't say come to Southeast Queens because it's not like the first time you ever been here. No. And this is not to say anything about the past presidents, but everyone knows that the enrollment has gone up. I mean, I sit up in Albany and we talk about the CUNY system and the SUNY system and you know all that's going on. I mean, what was the key to the success here? I mean, you've got this wonderful studio here. I call it a hidden gem because more and more people that call me up and say, "Where did you tape that from?" You might be getting requests, so I keep telling them, "Yeah, but it costs a lot. And you got to put a lot of money out there to be able to tape it. Now it's going to cost you a lot."
Fundraising is a part of what we have to do as college presidents.
But how did you do this? I mean, the enrollment is up and everybody is saying some good things, and we just love it. I mean, I say we, meaning the elected officials, the community, because it's nothing like having a college. I tend to call it York University. I done made it a university, so that's how I refer to it. So, but what's the secret?
Well, first of all, when I came in, I did a lot of homework. I did some studying, and one of the striking things that I found was that back in 1995, this college had about 6,800 students. When I came to the college, we were at about 5,700 students. What it did say to me is that York has capacity. Right. In other words, we can accommodate about another 1,000 or so, you know, reasonably students. Now, of course, there were a number of things that caused enrollment decline over the years. Right. Some of it is when the economy is good, people don't come to school, and that sort of thing. But what it did say to me is that given the renaissance of CUNY as a whole, and given the growth that so many CUNY colleges have experienced over the last 5 or so years, that there was room for York to grow.
Right.
And so I set that as one of my key missions, to grow our enrollment, and also at the same time to strengthen our ability to retain students.
Right.
Because it's not just about bringing new students in, it's also about keeping the students you have, assuring that they achieve the right kind of levels of success, and then graduating them at the right time onto bigger and better things. So we set it as a goal. First, you know, if you set your goal, then it means you're going to go after it. If you don't set a goal, then
that's right.
nobody is working towards it.
Right.
You set that goal, you announce it to the institution, and then we started to work. And a couple of critical things that we did back in the spring, starting about April of last year, we put together a group of middle managers, people in the middle, the registrar, the financial aid, the advisors, and so on, who really understand what it means at the ground level to bring students in and also to work with students. And we set that enrollment team together, led by a vice president. That's right.
Team.
Very much of a team. And you know, Senator Smith, they met every Thursday from about April 15th until the fall to sort of iron out the issues around how do we recruit, how do we advise, how do we register, and tweak things so that we're a little bit more student-centered. And that yielded in the first semester in the fall a 3% increase in students.
Wow.
And that was a good goal because, you know, from the spring to the fall, 3% increase was very, very significant. And we're continuing in that trend. Now, for next fall, we had time now, after having done the short term, to do a sort of longer term plan.
Right.
And the longer term plan really includes a very much more aggressive approach to getting into the schools. Getting into the schools in this Queens area, getting into the high schools in Brooklyn, because we get a very significant number of our students. Right? Oh, yes.
Out of Brooklyn.
They take that train in.
Is that right?
That's
okay.
right.
I was not aware of that.
That's
Is
right.
That
Oh, yes, we do. And really allowing the schools to understand the hidden gem that York is, the kind of good programs we have, the kind of good careers that students can have when they leave us. For instance, let me just talk about our allied health area. If you read the New York Times last Sunday, you will see a major article, a national article, on the hot programs.
Right.
And one of the hot programs is the allied health programs,
Right
the
here
health
at York.
Sciences. Well, they weren't talking about York.
Okay, just
We
the
should have
area.
been in there, by
Okay.
the way. So happens they named a couple of institutions that shall remain nameless as
Right,
far as I'm
absolutely.
concerned. But the point is, we are a part of that because we have strong programs in physician's assistant, in nursing, in medical lab technology, and in occupational therapy. And these are programs that can lead students immediately after they complete their bachelor's or their master's into very well-paying and rewarding careers. So one of the things we're really doing as a part of our recruitment is identifying the strong programs we have, which lead students into really very fruitful careers.
So now, but how do you? Because you mentioned that you put the team together. And I think that's a marvelous way, a marvelous approach.
And by the way, these are all people who were here.
Okay,
These
and
are
that's
not new
that's
people.
important.
This is not
That's
going